Hello, welcome to the Chatting with Dr. Stevil show. I am your host, Dr. Stevil. Now, today's guest is a husband, a father, a teacher, a longtime comic book fan, but most important, he's the creator of Auroraman.
And the crowd goes wild.
Saskatchewan superhero. How are you?
You betcha. I'm doing really well today, man. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. I mean, we have a beautiful day here outside in Ontario. The sun is shining. There's a lot of people outside mingling with each other, with or without masks. But I see nothing. I see nothing.
Yeah, we got a lovely day out here in Saskatchewan too. Spring has definitely arrived. We're getting snow melting everywhere, and my neighbors, they had dug out their fire pit area, and we're sitting out there with a fire this afternoon and everything. So little less commingling maybe, and lots of just getting outside and getting into the nice weather for a change.
Yeah, people are just like, hanging out, in parking lots. It's like, wow, this is interesting.
It's something new, right?
Yeah. And you still have snow up in Saskatchewan? Ooh.
Oh God, yeah. We'll still have snow for a little while yet.
Hence why Auroraman usually goes after evil snowmen.
It seemed like a logical choice for antagonist in the stories.
That's right. Got to find out more about the snowmen. But here we are. This is 5 years. You've been doing Auroraman for 5 freaking years. That's like, wow.
It is. It's something amazing. Definitely when I started, was not sure that this was, I just wanted to see how far we could go with it. And here we are 5 years later. It's been a fantastic and amazing experience.
Once again, let's just rehash who is Auroraman? What does he do? And what's his little power staff do?
All right. Well, Auroraman, for those of you that don't know, is just a regular guy. He happens to be a father and a husband and a school teacher out here in Saskatchewan. Like you. There's some similarities there, just a little bit. And he finds this staff that has fallen from the stars and loaded with cosmic power one night when he is out stargazing with his students, and he decides to become the superpower of the prairies. His staff allows him to fly. He can fire some concussive blasts with it. It allows him to create simple objects, kind of like a little bit like a Green Lantern ring, but on a staff kind of thing. And and there's other powers that he's discovering all the time, because it's not like it came with an instruction manual or anything. He just is figuring it out as he goes.
Oh, that reminds me of the Greatest American Hero, when he lost the instruction book and he couldn't figure out how to land.
Well, I did a story. That's a classic story right there. There was this early on with Auroraman. There was a story where the night he found the staff, he flew up into the sky, but then he had to try and figure out how to get back down.
That's pretty cool. Can anyone use that staff, or is it just like, just listens to him?
Well, anybody can use it, but it's going to be the same kind of idea. It's a matter of trying to figure out how to make it work for you. So
if someone stole it.
You keep your paws over there, pal.
Right. Okay. I'm just wondering, because it's not genetically attached to him, like every movie in this, like every superhero show in the CW. Well, this thing only works for you. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible that you have that. I don't know.
and we were talking earlier about superheroes having all their costumes up on mannequins. As soon as they come back from a mission, they don't wash it. They just put it right back up. It's all perfect, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as they get to a mission, it's like, oh, there it is. It looks cool. But, first you got to take it off the mannequin, take everything off first, and then you got to put it on yourself, and then get to the scene.
Yeah. It seems like an awful time-consuming project to do that. Auroraman leaves his coat hanging on a hook somewhere, and his staff is just standing in the corner of the room. And when it's time to go, he just grabs it and goes.
He just grabs it. He doesn't do the Thor thing with Mew Mew or whatever.
Sometimes. Sometimes, yeah, he'll just like pick it up if he's right there. Other times, he'll just like summon it from across the room, and hopefully he catches it as it flies towards him.
Right. Hopefully it's not a crowded room, like the family's eating dinner and stuff, and it just like comes right across the table,
crashes through all the food. You've now just given me an idea, so
because these are real life events, right? I mean that could happen. It's like, oh crap.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Why
Definitely.
don't do this?
I like being able to display that kind of stuff. Like the first time he runs out of the house and he's like, well, I've flown with this before, so up and away, and he goes to fly away and then lands flat on his face because, well, he wasn't really sure how to make the staff fly. He just hoped it would fly.
Right. Maybe you should get like a little saddle put on top of it, so like kind of like a witch, right, or a Harry Potter thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Rob Thibodeau, he says, "Hey, ladies."
Hey, Rob, how's it going?
Did you just assume our gender, Rob?
Yeah, I feel assumed upon.
Right. I'm okay with that. Sometimes I feel like, yay. How you doing, Rob? Rob is another fantastic artist that we both know.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we got a few people watching. Hey, and you guys watching want to just say hello, tell us who's all there, so we can make fun of you or not make fun of you, if you're there.
Yeah, chime in, questions and comments, all kinds of good stuff. We're here for
Auroraman. He's got 5 years. I'm gonna just keep on going until you guys have some questions. Now, how did this start? You liked Starman, right? That was your big thing.
Yeah, DC's Jack Knight version of Starman that came out in the 90s was a huge love of mine, and basically the same kind of idea in terms of he was just a regular guy. That was a big appeal to me. So through all of that fun stuff of that fandom, because I mean that book's been over for a long time, I met another fan out of Georgia, and we kind of had a real good friendship going, talking all the time and stuff, and we just kind of developed this idea around this character that would eventually become Auroraman, that was based on Starman. A lot of similarities and stuff there, and we just kind of built it, and then I tagged up with another fellow Canadian creator, Andrew Lawrence, out of Manitoba, with he's September 17 Productions, so his books are Legacy, New Guard, and Canadian Core is the big one that I found.
Ooh.
And
can you next time you contact them, can you ask them how can people like me get hold of that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll get you some links for that out when we're done here for sure. And yeah, Canadian Core was like the big draw for me because it was a team of Canadian superheroes and stuff. And yeah, we just kind of I showed him the groundwork stuff that we had going, and he helped us fine tool up what Auroraman was going to be. And I kind of thought, well, here you can use him in Canadian Core as like a reservist, as a guest appearance or whatever. And he's just like, no, man. He's like, you're ready to write this book yourself, so let's kick it off and go. So he helped me write the first issue 0 story, and I haven't looked back since.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That is pretty decent. We have a couple people that says hello. Derek Burns.
Yeah, Derek. He's my main artist right now for issue 8. He did the art for issue 7, and he did the main story in issue 8, the 37-page Good Times in the Badlands.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he did the movie poster looking variant cover for the issue.
Hold on. Maybe I do have it. Sadly, the pause is, like, it's not like, television where it just shows up. Which one?
So the one on, I guess, would be my far left, the black version cover. It looks like a movie poster because it's got all the credits at the bottom and stuff. Yeah, that's Derek's cover to it.
Awesome work, Derek. Nice. Now I just gotta. All right.
Yeah, Derek's been doing a great job. He's just been killing that issue. He killed that issue. It looks phenomenal, and he's been just pumping away on. We're moving on to the next works that we're working on together and stuff. It's just great.
And we have
Paul.
Edible Polly Kemp.
Yeah, you betcha, Paul. Good evening, sir. Hope you're doing well. Having a good
editable,
Saturday.
Not edible, right? Gotcha.
Yeah, that's right.
He's your editor. I'm sorry I interrupted because I thought I was being funny.
No, actually, he's just a fan. So
Cool. This gentleman right here, Randy Montieth.
Hey,
He's
Randy.
up from, you know, Randy?
I haven't met Randy. I've seen and appreciated his artwork. It's some amazing stuff. So I know of Randy. Let's go with that.
Yeah, Randy, he's part of the Thunder Bay Comic-Con, ThunderCon.
Yeah, that's right.
He took me up there, and Hugh last year, and he took care of us, showed us around, and it was pretty phenomenal. Great guy.
That's fantastic. I cannot wait to get back to doing shows and stuff and to be able to come out east and do some shows out there.
Oh, you're right. You know what? We definitely want to have you here. You got a great character. You've got a lot of fans here in Canada, in Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, I've got a really nice fan base going out there, so I'd really like to get out there and meet some of them and be out there in person.
Oh, for sure. Now, this 5 years of Auroraman, right? What is this next issue going to give us?
All right, so issue number 8 is 5 stories, which ironically was worked out well for a 5th anniversary issue. It's got the big Good Times in the Badlands story, 37 pages. I collaborated with a friend of mine, Graham Williams, and we co-scripted the story. He came to me with this idea of doing a story set in Drumheller, Alberta. And as a big dinosaur nut as a kid, I just jumped on it. I figured, well, I mean, dinosaurs, Auroraman, sure, that makes sense. I mean, why not? So he co-scripted the story with me, and then I did the final writing draft of it. So that's the big story in there. And then we have 4 other stories in there, and I work with a couple other artists on that. There's another Auroraman adventure that I do with James Zintel, who's an artist here in Saskatchewan out of Saskatoon. And then the other 3 stories featuring Little Auroraman in one adventure, and then Auroraman. The Auroraman character, and that story I do with Sharon Gauthier, and along with the Little Auroraman, she does the art for that. And then we introduce the Aurora Barialis universe, where it's an animal universe. So it's Auroraman is a big bear, as opposed to being a human, and he's got a staff and the whole 9 yards. This is all building to something that's coming later on, much later on down the road. But Sharon
had in Saskatchewan,
something like that. Yeah, Auroraman United kind of thing. But yeah, I have some wacky alternate versions of Auroraman and stuff, and they all share a connection, but we're going to explore that as things build and stuff. So like this Old Man Auroraman, this is another alternate universe style version of Auroraman. As you can see here, it's definitely a little more dystopian styling. The water tower is all destroyed behind him, and that's what Auroraman's home is. So obviously stuff has gone a little off the rails in that universe.
Right. And there's another one I saw recently. You got some guy, who's this guy?
This is Avra Kadabra. He is a bit of a sorcerer that I introduced back in issue number 1. And this artwork is actually based around a story that's in that issue, where Auroraman and Avra take on a horde of snowmen. We call them Frosties. And the Frosties are not your friendly snowmen by any stretch of the imagination.
No, they look like terrible things from Calvin and Hobbes.
a little bit, right? But yeah, it's just kind of a fun thing that we started way back at the beginning of Auroraman, was having these snowmen show up periodically and little stories here and there with them that are all building to a bigger story, which I actually happen to be writing right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one's going to be a fun one. We're doing you're hearing it, well, not quite first, but you're hearing some details a little more here first on Chatting with Dr. Stevil. We are doing a cross-Canada adventure to wrap up the whole Frosties storyline. So Auroraman is kind of digging in, and he's going to get to the bottom of these snowmen for once and for all. And this is going to take him literally through every province and territory in Canada, where he's going to end up meeting up and teaming up or squaring off against other Canadian comic book characters from literally across the country.
Are these established characters like from friends of ours?
Yes, there's a small smattering of new characters that I've created that'll be sprinkled through this, but there's lots of established characters from all of our, or quite a few of our creator friends from across this country. So,
so every province, right? We've got superheroes.
Yeah, you betcha.
Now, in every province, did you find someone with a superhero from there, or did you have to create some?
Some I did have to create. There was some flex I had to do there a little bit and create some characters to fit into some of the provinces. I'm sure I probably could find some if I did a little bit more digging, but after a while, it was just like I kind of had exhausted all of my avenues to finding characters. So there's a mix of some created and some that I'm being graciously lent from other creators, which is going to be awesome. I love being able to team up with other creators and stuff, and this is going to line up to be a huge issue, combining like all of these other creators' characters into one story, which hasn't been done a whole bunch in Canadian comics.
Oh, this is going to be one issue?
Well, one or two. It's going to be big. Whatever it is, it's going to be big. So
I thought so. When I first heard rumors about this, I thought you were going to have 4 or 5 issues, or like one for each province. I mean,
well, I'm debating exactly how I'm going to do it. Writing the initial script right now is going to kind of lay out what we're looking at for a page count. I'm not going to hem myself into a minimum page setup. I'm just going to kind of write the story and see where it goes. Well, the initial script, Randy, I see your comment there. The initial script will be the Burton cut for sure. And then we'll see how many pages I have to dial that back to make it reasonable. I mean, if it ends up clocking in at, say, like 100-page graphic novel, that might just have to be what we're going to do.
Or you can, slowly.
I'm not one for slowly. I just, put my foot on the gas and let's go.
Kind of like that comment, the Zack Snyder cut. It's like,
yeah,
they talked about releasing in all 6 parts or 4 parts, but they threw it at us and nobody could just stop. It's once you start, exactly. You can't get off.
Well, and that's just it. And I guess part of it is my excitement. I'm really excited for this story. I'm really excited for the ideas that I've had for it, and with the people that I'm collaborating with, because for some of these characters, I'm getting to collaborate with their regular artists and stuff to draw the story that I'm writing, and collaborating with the other creators to make sure that I'm doing their characters justice and getting them right, and they're not behaving in a way that wouldn't be typical of that character. So I kind of want to, when it's done, I'm going to want to be like, here it all is. Here's the whole thing, as opposed to be like, well, here's part 1 and here's part 2 and here's part 3. We'll see once we get there. I'm really taking my time and making sure that I get everything right with this. So I don't want to just rush it. It's not going to be like, it's going to be ready for Christmas this year. I'm like, nah, you know what? I might be done writing the first draft by Christmas this year.
Wow.
We'll see.
And you're going to do your research on many of the places you go to, so people can see their favorite landmark, like say a giant nickel or the CN Tower, or
See, exactly. And that's just it. There's landmarks and recognizable locations across the country. So I'm making sure that I get that kind of stuff in there and get it right. So if I have a character that is set in, say, Sudbury and stuff like that, we have those recognizable landmarks worked in there so that it makes sense.
Wow, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it is. I'm really jazzed for it. And I guess, the upside is I have so much other material that's already been written and is already being worked on by artists that I'm not worried about, oh, this has to be the next thing that I'm releasing. I have other things that are already lined up for that. So I can take my time with this.
Well, yeah, like your latest Auroraman, which you're releasing on Kickstarter now, like how many pages? 5 different stories in it, right?
Yeah, there's 48 pages. So we've got the one big story, and then the other 4 stories are smaller, between 2 and 4 pages. So they're just like little taste stories.
How's the Kickstarter going?
We are at 60% funded right now and have just about 2 weeks left in it. So we're well on track to hitting this mark, which is fantastic. I'm really jazzed for that.
Well, I've already made a couple purchases there, but I think I might have to change my order because there's some other things that I want to get.
Right on. Well, feel free. We're open to all of that. Today actually we just put up a new reward level plus add-on level for some of the original artwork from Derek's story, so the 37-page story. So we just added that to it, and within minutes of me adding it, I already had a backer had modified their pledge to be able to pick up one of the original art pages. Like, I hadn't even shared it past the initial posting of it, and he was already like, bang, I want this page, can you mark me down for that one? It's just like, well, okay, there we go, done. He's like, I want to share it with anybody, but I can't find the link. I was like, I haven't posted the link yet. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, because I got lucky. I picked up one of your original artworks. It's from Humboldt, from that site. It was a fantastic piece that I've got. But, like, how are people going to pick and choose? I mean, I managed to download rough copies, but these are the pages that are available.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to pick. And then I'm torn on how much I want to show, because if I make this any clearer and say, hey, here's page 1, here's page 2, here's page 3, it's going to give away some of the story before people get the book. So
that's true.
It's kind of going to be a bit of a luck of the draw, I think. The people, the diehards that want a page are going to get a page, and if I have pages left after this, then I'll put them up as I'll probably actually do another charity thing like I did last year with pages again, and just put them up with an incentive going to part of the sales going to charity. So
yeah, take advantage of that. I like to help people as long as I get something back from those little monsters. I mean from the people that I'm helping.
Well, it feels good to help people, and it's never a bad thing when you get something in return too, other than just the satisfaction of doing something good. All
right, so we can get one of Derek's original pieces of art. And we've got some other things that you got going here at your... Hold on, I'm just looking lost because I'm stalling for time as I look for the pictures. We've got trading cards.
Yes. As a kid of the 80s and early 90s, trading cards, first with hockey cards for me, and then into comic book cards and stuff like that, were a big thing. So the opportunity to do trading cards for Auroraman was always something I wanted to do. And I'd done one-offs here and there over the past 5 years, just one card here, one card there and stuff. But with the 5th anniversary, I really wanted to do like an actual set, a unified set of character cards. And it just happened to be had an artist, Chris Nesbitt out of Saskatoon, who wanted to have he wanted practice. He's an upcoming artist and stuff, and he wanted something to help motivate him to keep practicing his art. So we sat down and talked about doing character, kind of just like splash images of characters from Auroraman. So as we were doing these, I was just like, hey, next year's the 5th anniversary. Let's do, take the first 10 of these that he's got done and do a set of trading cards out of them. And that's what we're seeing right now, is the first 10 characters that he did as part of his work that he's doing with me. And it was fun to design the card and to design what the back was going to look like and what the write-up was going to have and how I wanted that all to carry out a unified feel across a set. So I'm pretty excited to be able to get these into people's hands. Again, it's a nostalgia thing for me. Trading cards were always something fun. I have binders full of them on my shelf, and they're just, every once in a while I'll pull a binder out when I'm looking for ideas on character looks or some neat mashups as far as powers go and things like that when I need a villain and stuff, and I'll just surf through
Baron von Schnitzel. Yeah
Yeah, the villain of the Adventures of Auroraman. He started off as kind of a bit of a one-time joke because Humboldt is a German heritage kind of community and stuff. So I was like, well, let's have a good German type villain just for the fun of it. And he's managed to weasel his way into the top spot of villainy. And sometimes it's funny because I will be literally writing a story that I had no intention of putting him in, and all of a sudden I look at the page and it's like, well, there's the Baron. He showed up. wasn't the original plan, but he's got his monocle and mustache involved in this adventure here somehow.
Yeah, that is good. The Baron von Schnitzel, everything is good. I want to take over the world. Yeah. And have some beer as well, yeah. Beer and Schnitzel.
Yeah, that's right.
Wunderbar.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. The trading card set was a ton of fun to do, and Chris's artwork for it was just great. It was so cool to watch his work come in with that, and how much fun he was having with the characters and the posing and stuff that he was doing, just to try and play around with it and make it fun.
Yeah, Karen says trading cards look great and would make a nice gift, and I totally agree. I'm looking at that, and you said he's an up-and-coming artist. That is fantastic work.
Yeah, he's, again, amazing work. I'm so happy with what he's doing, and we've already started on the next batch of characters and stuff, and again, he's already lining them up and knocking them down, so it's good. And yeah, thank you, Karen. I do agree that he did a great job. These cards look phenomenal. I have all the cards printed already. They're all here, so I've had them for actually a couple of months, so I've gone over them and looked them over and stuff. Give me half a second here. So yeah, like I do literally, they're all just hanging out here.
Oh, hold on, let me
So yeah, these are them in hand. I've got them already packaged up into their 10 card sets and everything and ready to go. Just a little peek at what the back looks like. So it's got the nice little write-up and everything. And on the back, I included who created the character, as well as when their first appearance was and stuff like that, just for people that like that kind of extra info. I was a little torn. Did I want to go whole hog with like the power sets and all that kind of stuff? And I thought, nah, you know what? Some basic information and when they appeared, and just have some fun with it.
That's great, man. Those are nice cards. Thanks for showing us the back as well.
Oh, and yeah, no problem.
Randy agrees. Nice looking cards.
Thanks, Randy.
And there's another like if you do a is it a weekly or daily comic strip of Auroraman?
It is a bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's a local publication out here that has a print run of about 3,000 issues that they hand out for free. Plus, then they also do digital on their Facebook page and have email subscriptions to it. And it's just like a little variety magazine. It has a little bit of news, but mostly it's like facts and quizzes and neat games and riddles and stuff like that. And it's a fun local kind of publication. And they came to me 3 years ago and wanted to team up, which was a dream come true because I loved reading newspaper comic strips like Garfield, Beetle Bailey, The Wizard of Id, and all that kind of stuff. So we started the stories from the Stew. The Stew is what the publication is. And yeah, we've been doing these comic strips every 2 weeks now. So we've got a nice little following going there, and it's just a way to expand the Auroraman stories without always having to do like a full issue story or anything like that. Some of these strips are like a one-off, or 2 or 3 strips run together to kind of tell a story. Sometimes we've got a number of strips. Like right now in the current publication, there's about 30-ish strips that are all part of one big story. So if you've been following it, you're getting each piece of the story every 2 weeks. And then once it's all been out, eventually we'll release that story as part of a collected issue. So in the Kickstarter, we have the very first collection of comic strips, and we printed it at landscape. So it's just like they would appear in the Stew or in a newspaper. And I actually have a copy of that issue here. It's another nice thing with this Kickstarter is there's no big, we have to wait for this material to be finished being created. Once the Kickstarter's done, this stuff is done and ready. It's already been to the printer, and like you can see here, so that's the Stu issue there. And yeah, you read it just like this. You just flip it open, and it's presented in that landscape format. And it's nice to see it in hand now. I have a scrapbook that I collect all the printed copies of the Stu, so I cut them out and I glue them in just like I did when I was a kid, and cut the comic strips out of the newspapers and glued them into a notebook and stuff. But it's nice to actually have this book in hand, an actual collected version of it. And for those people that aren't local to get the strips from the Stu, or they don't like to read them online or things like that, now you actually have the stories in hand and part of your Auroraman collection.
That's right, and you can pick that up in the Kickstarter as well.
That's right. Yeah, and that's Jason Sylvester, artist out of Regina. He's been my artist that works with me on this. He's a fantastic cartoonist. You can see his cartoons regularly in Cartoons Magazine and lots of other places like that, as well as he has characters like Jason of New York City and Ig the Idiot Caveman.
What's this Jason of New York City?
Well, it's basically Jason from Jason and the Argonauts is transported into modern times. So not quite a Canadian superhero, but he roams all around the world. It's basically like a monster hunter kind of deal and stuff. And he'll be actually making an appearance in the Snowman story as well. So yeah, we're tapping into all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh, cool.
And it's a great story. I can't remember exactly how long Jason's been doing that book, but it's been around for a while now, and I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it kind of confused me because he was part of your Canadian superhero thing, and he's like Jason New York. I'm like, I don't remember New York, Canada anywhere.
Yeah, well, the New York City part of it is just, I guess, kind of there. So he travels the world, and we've kind of just adapted him and adopted him into being part of the Canadian group. So
as we do.
Exactly. That's right. We welcome all kinds of people from all over.
Sure, come on over, eh? We got lots of Timbits and stuff. We'll take care of you. Eh?
we got lots of room.
Yeah, plenty of room. Just gotta go live up north. It's nice and cool. Hey, earn your stripes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, come live in Saskatchewan. We'll get you acclimatized to winter.
I did that 6 weeks, man, in the summertime, and at the end of the summer, it was terrible. Military.
Oh yeah.
Dundurn.
I was going to say you were probably stationed in Dundurn then.
Yeah, and I guess the summer after we finished our training, the next year they declared our barracks condemned, unsafe. Wasn't our fault.
Yeah.
Randy says the cartoon magazine is done in a Thunder Bay by a guy he used to work with.
Hey, right on. That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool. I know Jason was pretty excited when he got landed that regular spot with them. So I'm pretty proud that I get to work with a guy that's working with all these other awesome properties and stuff like that. Especially, cartoons. I grew up reading Cartoons magazines. I had one of my best friends. His dad was big into cars and stuff, so they had the magazines around the house all the time. So.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Really interesting artwork, animation style.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm used to DC and Marvel, and you see these guys that are just drawn in a way that was neat. You come up with the name Mark Methots.
Okay, cool.
He's also got another question. Has Auroraman ever met Dr. Stevil in one of your books?
All right. So,
Little Auroraman.
That's right. Dr. Stevil's been in Little Auroraman, which is one of those side universes. Now, as far as the main universe, let's just say,
take him, man.
yeah. Bring it on. Come on.
Get the staff. All I gotta do is zap you.
Yeah, sure, sure.
I'll harness that freaking power. It'll be mine.
It'll be all yours. Hey.
I would threaten Saskatchewan, but really, there's no way to make it worse than it is. So we'll leave it alone.
So yeah, as far as like the main core book, let's just say coming soon. I have we've got a couple spots where this is going to happen, and actually the Stevil cut.
I'm gonna take your book and I'm gonna take my little picture and I'm gonna like paste it on top of the bad guys that you're fighting. I'll
there
release
we go.
That.
Yeah, there's the Stevil cut of that issue right there. Sounds like a plan right there. Well, I mean, the biggest piece that I can give away to that is let's just say a certain cross Canada tour is going to have a meeting, so to speak, that is going to set the groundwork for a much bigger confrontation.
I think he likes the cartoon with my head put on there, pasted on.
I think that's a great idea, actually. I might even work that into the story.
Yeah, so I'll look at the poses. I'll take pictures of selfies at different angles, and like, okay, I'm getting beaten. Or okay, pose. We could do that.
Yeah,
use Photoshop.
Yeah, exactly.
Stevil cut.
It in there.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, there's one other thing that I wanted to see when I interviewed you, and a friend of mine, Karen, she asked about it.
Okay.
Your belt.
Oh, the belt.
The belt.
All right.
You can show it, or I can kind of show it.
Oh, I'm going to grab it here. So
give me
just a second here.
I'm just going to put a little teaser right here while he's grabbing the belt. Oh, what is this?
This is, oh, geez, upside down, of course. Yeah. There we go. This is the belt. So right across the board there. Is my piece of fun, my gift to myself this year. I'm an old school, I mean, obviously child of the 80s, right? So WWF wrestling, Stampede wrestling as a Canadian growing up.
Did you ever watch that or go live?
Yeah, you betcha. I can actually remember when Stampede Wrestling came to Humboldt.
Oh, and wow.
I unfortunately, my parents didn't take me to see it, but it just happened to be held in the same building that I had karate lessons. And as I was waiting for my parents to pick me up, I was the kid that was being shooed away because I was looking through the little like narrow window in the door, watching everything that was happening, just my face pressed into the glass so I could see what was going on and see all this stuff firsthand. But I watched a lot of Stampede Wrestling as a kid, especially on Saturdays. If I went to my grandparents on the farm, they only had 3 channels, and one was French and 2 were other channels, and Stampede Wrestling was always on one of them in Saturday morning. So it was something that I just loved to see. And then, yeah, I grew up with the WWF, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling cartoon and stuff like that. I mean, it was just great. And then as I got older and stuff like that, when a lot of those classic WWF characters went over to WCW and the whole NWO era and everything like that, it rekindled my passion for wrestling, because here were the characters I grew up with in a slightly different light and stuff. And I kind of got back into it some more. And when I started Auroraman, I mean, as a wrestling fan, it was like, well, having a replica belt, that would be so cool. They're very costly, but it would still be really neat. I just never pulled the trigger on getting one. But I told myself when I started Auroraman that, hey, if this actually takes off and we go to 5 years, let's get a custom belt to just kind of reward myself for that. A little treat that we can take to shows and have on the table, and fans can pose with it and stuff like that. Just a little treat there, a little nod to my wrestling roots, and just something a little extra fun that, I don't know, it's not like I see it around a whole lot, so it's a little more unique and stuff. So this year rolled around and I'm like,
so you got to defend it when you go.
You betcha. I've done stories, or one story for sure, in the comic books with a wrestling match in it to begin with. Auroraman does have a group of foes, a 5 team of luchador lumberjacks, and he squares
So
off
Canadian.
him and a group of, and they're all in red and black plaid costumes and stuff, so it actually works. But yeah, so him and some of his allies team up in a wrestling match against them, and then I guess not last year because that was COVID, but the year before there was a more local wrestling organization had a wrestling show in Humboldt, and I happen to know a couple of the guys that wrestle for them and stuff. So we went to the match and we're checking it out, and one of the heel characters came out and was I was sitting in the front row on the one side of the ring, and he started to get a little lippy. While he didn't talk much, but he was pretty gestury on, trying to challenge me. So I had stood up to him and we kind of faced off standing there or whatever. And then he did the face wash with his dirty glove and stuff and issued a challenge and even tried to taunt Auroraman to get in the ring and stuff. So we're actually going to develop that into a bit of a comic story with that character and everything. So we haven't seen the last of wrestling and Auroraman by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, that's cool. Speaking of Calgary Stampede, you watched it, so as did I, back when Owen Hart was champion.
Yep.
And Ed Whalen, remember him?
Oh yeah, I remember Ed.
Well, I had the honor, myself and Karen, who's also commenting here. We went to Calgary to check out the Stampede and stuff. And she's got a cousin that worked at the TV station. So we just went in there, and there was Ed Whalen.
Really? That was so cool.
If I known that, I would have found the picture to show you. But I walk up to him, "Hey, Ed Whalen, how you doing?" And this is me before I met anyone in celebrity. So I'm like, you are amazing. I love watching Calgary Stampede. And the guy was really humble. He was just awesome. Wow, really? I'm a celebrity? Oh, come on, guys, stop.
That's awesome. That's so cool. It's great when you get a chance to meet people like that, and they are, just the nicest people. So it's awesome.
The luchador lumberjack sounds like a great gimmick for WWE or AEW.
Yeah, definitely. I hazard to talk too much that all of a sudden somebody steals my ideas too much or anything. But no, it was a lot of fun. It made sense when we started working on that story. Colin Work and we did that story. He was the artist for that, so he had fun designing those guys and drawing repeatedly that patterned costumes over and over and over.
So you're doing stereotypical Canadian characters.
Well, I mean, it's hard not to poke some of those stereotypes in there sometimes.
No, these are things legends are made of. Seriously.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Here's one thing. Speaking of Colin Work, you've got piece of art. Now, who's this guy with the hockey stick?
The Governor General. Yeah, he's another fantastic, fun character. He's actually based off of a friend of mine who made a cosplay taking Captain America. So this was after the first Avenger came out, the first Captain America movie came out. And he created this Governor General version of Captain America. And I thought it was so cool. And I asked him if he was okay if I modified it a bit and created a character in Auroraman with him. And he loved the idea. He thought it was so cool. So Colin and I set about revamping and retooling his look for the Governor General that he had and making him a little less just a Captain America knockoff. He still has a shield, but it doesn't look anything like a Captain America shield with a maple leaf on it. It's a little more stylized, a little more Canadian specific, and it ties into his character backstory. And then his hockey stick is named O Canada, and it's
Really?
it's actually enchanted. So when he throws it, it's like Mjolnir. It comes back to him and stuff. So it's great. He's such a fun character to use. And Ian is the cosplayer. He loves the fact that we did this, and he made a second Governor General costume for his cosplay wardrobe that is based on our comic book designs. So he has his original version, and then he has the Auroraman comic book version of the Governor General. And I have on my bookcase, and I'll have to send you pictures, but on my bookcase over here in my office, I have an actual like metal shield in the Governor General's design and everything that he made. He made one for his costume, and then he made a second one for me, and it's on my bookcase with a miniature hockey stick, "Oh Canada," and everything, like the whole 9 yards. So
that is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I love it. Like, it's just phenomenal. He's one of the first people. Well, Governor General we introduced early on in the first year of Auroraman, and he's been a fan and a friend ever since, and it's just been great. And he's helped with some prop building and stuff like that. He's an amazing prop builder. One of the characters that I haven't released yet in comic books, a different version of Auroraman again, he helped build a couple of the props that where I'm basing off the character to use as far as equipment goes and stuff. And it's just, it's awesome. And he actually, one of the first things that he did was a 3D printed lantern. So a square lantern that had a sheet or a plate on each four sides that was a different cover to my early comic books. And then when you turn the light on, it actually shone through the back of it and just looked, it shone the cover and it showed all the details and everything. And it had a real 3D kind of depth to it and stuff. It was really cool. And something that like I had no idea he was making or anything. And then he just one day was like, yeah, I made you this. This is, something I made you because I dig your comic books and stuff. So it was really cool. It meant a lot to me. So, or it means a lot. To me. It's right up there, right next to the shield and hockey sticks.
So you are inspiring a lot of new characters just from people around you.
Well, I mean, it's infectious. It's contagious a little bit. Lots of people tell me my enthusiasm for this is a bit contagious and helps them be inspired to do stuff and want to be part of it. So I don't know. I'm just having fun and loving what I'm doing.
For sure. Well, we spoke with Colin Work last month, and he gave you tons of praises. You helped inspire him and helped him with getting the idea with Blackthorn.
Yeah, so and I love the fact that he's getting the success and the work that he's doing with Blackthorn is just phenomenal. He jumped on board with Auroraman right at the very beginning of it and stuff, and was very instrumental in those first few years of character design and the early comics that we were doing and stuff. As much as he credits me for helping get him going with what he's doing now, I don't think Auroraman would have gotten the early footwork that it needed to get going without his help. So he's definitely one of my closest friends and creators that I owe a lot to as far as this goes.
Oh wow, you owe him a lot. He owes you a lot. I mean, you both
that's how the collaboration works, right?
For sure. Hey, anyone out there watching, have any questions? We'd be happy to answer them. Unless you want the ending of books, then we can't do that. Or talk about the Snyder Cut. We can't really do that. That's mean.
Yeah. That's just cruel.
One thing about the Snyder Cut, I did watch. I was so thrilled, and then I'm looking at my theatrical version there, going, you know what? I'm just going to check out all the fight scenes. The Amazon one, the one inside, in Gotham, and then at the end. And wow, there's a lot of stuff left out because, the last fight was totally changed.
Well, I'm hearing lots of really like positive feedback as far as the Snyder Cut. I personally haven't had the opportunity to watch it yet, mostly because of time constraints. But it's I'm probably on the lesser category that I didn't mind the theatrical release. I mean, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but when you have a director that leaves partway through and a new director that comes in and then starts kind of trying to finish and meld and change and adjust things, it's going to get a little hodgepodgey, and that's what I found, was it a little hodgepodgey. But for me, the acting in it was really well done. The actors, the casting, they portrayed their characters really well, despite a slightly disjointed story. It was still good enough for me to, you know, say, hey, was I entertained? Yes. Good. That's what I want.
I fall exactly the same line with you. I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. It was really well done. But once you watch this, it will freaking blow your mind. And well, don't be one of those people saying, I'll watch 1 hour a day. You can't. You get hooked on it.
No, it's like, I already know that when I sit down to watch it, it's going to be clear the schedule, because this is happening, and that's the way it's going to be.
We've got something right here, which my friend Karen, which I told you, just sent me.
Okay.
Which is good. Just give me a second to upload it, and we'll do this. So I guess, like, you had a great radio voice, just saying. I mean, listening to you when you're talking about Auroraman at the beginning, it's like, holy crap, man, you should be on radio.
Well, thank you very much. Every time I do a radio interview, that's what I get told. The people from my school will be like, yeah, I heard you on the radio on the way to work today and stuff, and you'd do well working in radio. So I guess absolutely. I always have that to look at if I want to change careers or anything.
Well, absolutely, you do, man. I mean, and there's Ed Whalen.
Oh, that is so cool. I love his sweater too.
Oh, I didn't really notice. I was just so excited to meet him. And that's my friend Karen. She nice. Brought me there because her cousin worked there, and I was just so thrilled. She didn't really know who Ed Whalen was because she wasn't a crazy wrestling fan like I was. So I'm like all over him, geeking out, like,
Oh, yeah, no, that is fantastic. Oh, man.
Thanks for sending these to me, Karen. That was just amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool, Karen. Thanks for sharing that so we could check it out.
Yeah, it's like, glad she's on, man. She's one of my biggest supporters of the show.
It's always great when we have people like that in our lives, especially when we're doing creative endeavors like this, to have friends that are there to support us and, you know, be there when we're doing things and stuff. It just makes it even more exciting to do.
Oh, for sure. Hey, Derek Burns. Hey, I pressed it. He says, does Aurora not show up in future stories?
Yes, Aurora Nacht. Aurora Nacht is another Nacht. Get to that Germany.
Aurora Nacht.
Yeah, definitely. We have stories planned for Aurora Nacht, and this is, again, another one of those alternate versions of Auroraman. If you've seen the artwork that Derek's posted of the Viking style Auroraman on the big serpent, that is Aurora Nacht. And yeah, we've got some fun stories for him. It's always interesting to play with these different versions of Auroraman, because they're not always 100% the same persona, right? So Aurora Nacht, I mean, by character definition, is going to be a bit more of an aggressive style Auroraman. He's not quite as defensive minded. He's more offensive minded. Whereas Auroraman, while being very powerful, is a little more on the pacifist side of things. He's not really interested in fighting, and will find the easiest way to defeat his enemy without getting into a huge physical confrontation. But there's a twist to the Auroraman character that I can't wait to get some of those stories out, because it's the backstory and the depth to that character has just been phenomenal and fun to work with. I really, honest and truly, I need to like win the lottery so that I can release stories more frequently for the amount of content that I have built up. But we're just going to have to take our time and release it step at a time. And all these stories will be told eventually.
These are coming from your brain. Would you consider anyone else writing an Auroraman story?
You know what? I have been asked, and I have always been good with it, as long as, you know, they give me a chance to see what they're writing before it ever hits the publishing stage, just in case, you know, a common courtesy, right? Just to make sure that they don't have Auroraman doing something that he wouldn't naturally be doing. That would be out of character for him. And actually, I do have a story that's waiting in the wings right now. So one of my daughters, one of my triplets, in fact. She's 15 years old. Well, the three of them are, but she came she came to me one day. My kids are they love Auroraman, and they've been very involved with it. One of her sisters helped create one of my villains. Colin actually had mentioned that Bison, the big wheat monster that's kind of like Sandman, but he's made of wheat. That one of my triplets created him. And Weissen is actually German for wheat. That's where that whole name came from and everything.
Everything is German. Yeah.
Well, it has a fit, right? But that came from her. She was 10, maybe 9 years old when she came to me with that idea for that character. But so now one of her sisters came to me with a character that she had created. And it was a villain character, and she hadn't just created the character. So with Weissen, it was just the character, and there wasn't a story there. But with this other character now, she had not only created a character, but she had kind of the very loose beginnings of a story written already for it. So I took off my hat of the writer of Auroraman and went into the kind of mentor mode for it. And I coached her on how to properly write a script and a story. Well, to write the story and then transform that into a script and everything. I got her to write up a character description and everything of what this character looked like. And I took that without her knowing. I took that to an artist friend of mine and had him actually create the visual piece for her character and surprised her with that. And now she has this 9-page story done and ready to go. And if knock on wood, my Kickstarter overfunds what my goal is by enough, I'm going to add issue 9 to it, and it'll include her story as the main story. I'll publish her work as issue 9 if we can overfund the Kickstarter by enough to pay for the artwork and printing for her story.
That sounds amazing.
And I haven't told anybody this until right now because I didn't really want to jinx it, but because you asked and I'm so excited about this, I just have to spill it now because we're getting closer to the end of the Kickstarter. We're getting closer to the goal, 60% funded, 2 weeks to go. If we can push that goal and go a little bit further than that, then we'll publish her story, her very first ever written comic book story, as the main story for issue number 9.
That is pretty freaking amazing.
Blow her mind at 15 years old to have a published comic book story. She's 15. She's going to have her own comic book story. And I think to myself, I've wasted my life. Well, I mean, I didn't have my first one until I was almost 40. So it's no such thing as wasted life. It's just a matter of opportunities that come and when they come your way. And I mean, this might be a one-off. It might be the only one she ever writes, but it might be the start of something for
her. Okay. Sorry, I was just reading something else.
No worries.
We're good. Wow, that's pretty cool. You got the belt. You got the Kickstarter with all those original pages going out. I think you might be able to make your goal because that is one heck of a great incentive.
Well, and I thought about it for a while, and when I first started doing this, I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep, any original pages that I get because that's awesome. I own the original artwork and stuff. As time has gone by, though, I've realized that a lot of this stuff sits in a book, and every once in a while I might pull it out and look at it. But why not get it out to other people that want it, fans that want the opportunity. I mean, as a comic book fan myself, the opportunity to own pages from my favorite comic books, sure, that is fantastic. I love that idea. Owning hordes and hordes of pages from Auroraman, it's not quite the same. It's awesome. And there's certain pages that I will definitely keep for myself, but I don't need to have them all. And if they're going to make somebody else's collection be awesome because they have it, then why wouldn't I give them the opportunity to do that?
I'm working on it. I got a couple original things from the Human Lizard, which you won't be able to get anymore.
And I've got 2 pages out of his book too. So
I've got one of yours, which is great. I've got one of the Canadian Ensign.
Oh yeah.
A splash page. It's just really awesome. He's like in a room surrounded by Nazis coming in. So
Nice.
that's amazing. And I think from Freelance, where there's a 2-page spread I picked up where he's fighting Quebec.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I have I don't know, I've got a pile in a book somewhere. I lose track after a while sometimes because I just pick up art here and there as I go along. So I've got a couple pages. My favorite ones, I think, are probably the ones that I have out of Pitiful Human Lizard. So that was Jason's work there was such an inspiring piece for me with Auroraman and stuff. So
yeah, when you met Jason, did he come out to your area?
Yes, yeah, he was actually at what we call our local show in Saskatoon one year, and I was so excited when he was announced that he was coming because I'm like, I'm such a big fan. I get to meet him in person. I was so nervous about meeting him because I'm such a big fan. But the part that blew me away, so Auroraman was tucked away in the artist alley piece, and he's over in the guest area and everything as the bigger named people are and stuff. So on the morning of the first day, I'm setting my table up and getting ready for the show and whatever else. And all of a sudden I look up from my table and he was standing at the front of my table. He came to see me as opposed to me having to go find him where he was at his table before the show ever started. And it may not seem like it was a big deal, but to me it was a big deal because I'm just this guy in the middle of Saskatchewan, in the middle of the country of, not in the epicenter of connections like Toronto is for Canadian comic books and stuff like that. And Ontario is this hotbed. You guys have so many shows and creators and all that kind of stuff. So to me, Jason is kind of a big deal, yet he came to meet me at my table because he knew that I was excited to meet him. So from there out, whatever would have happened that weekend, if I would have made hardly any sales, it still would have been the best show I've ever been at because I got to meet one of my heroes, but not because I went and stood in line at his table, because he came to my table.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Jason's one of us. He's a regular artist. He's just one of the guys, and he's very obviously spoken to him. He's very, very humble about his work.
Yeah, and like you said, just a really down to earth, regular guy, which was awesome.
I knew Jason I guess about a year before he started doing the Human Lizard. He was a cosplayer called the Toronto X-Men, and he did Multiple Man. He had the costume of Multiple Man, and he had about 4 different cardboard cutouts of his face, like all attached to his back. So it was like you had 5 of him just walking around, and they're all like different like reactions.
That's great. And that's one of the connection pieces that he and I have is Multiple Man was one of my favorite characters too. So for him to have been such a big fan and cosplayed him was just awesome. It was just the icing on the cake as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, that was one of the most brilliant things I've seen. It's like, that's just amazing. It's so simple, yet it's genius.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So it's nice when you see artists are actually fans and everything else. Like,
yeah, it's really cool to develop those connections and those relationships and stuff. It's something I really like to see happen. Not just with my own book, but for other creators and stuff like that when they get cultivate their fandom includes people that they would classify as heroes to them and stuff. It's great.
All right, let's see what happens. That's a cool story. You just never know how, when, where you meet your heroes.
Yeah, well, exactly, right. And that just goes to show you that there's lots of people that have that whole belief you should never meet your heroes because sometimes your heroes don't live up to don't quite live up to what you expect. But in that instance, not only did Jason live up to what I had in mind of him, he far surpassed it.
For sure. I just met one of those people that, I was just so looking forward to, and I was like, not happy. We won't talk about that because, that person still has a lot of fans and it's public thing. Let them prosper.
Yeah. Sometimes that's just what you got to do. Their thing is their thing, and that's how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was really fun. I enjoyed it. Got a lot more info from you, and I'm looking forward to looking at your original pieces now.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you for having me on. I love having a chance to sit down and chat with you. it's always fun, and get a chance to spill some news. Somehow you managed to pull a few things out of me that I hadn't planned on talking about. So
I told you, if there's anything you don't want to talk about, you just like zip up, and I'll make something up. I'll like
that's all right.
I'll chat to you.
I just get on a roll, and then sometimes I'm a lot of it is I'm excited, right? I'm excited by what's happening, so I want to share it with other people because hopefully they're going to think it's as cool as I do. Yeah, I've been hanging on to like that whole piece about my daughter's story and stuff like that. I've been keeping that one pretty low key, but I am absolutely ecstatic. Her story, she did such a great job with how she wrote it and how she used the characters in it and stuff. I'm dying to get it to an artist so that I can actually now see it on the page. So I just couldn't help but talk about it a little bit.
Oh, no doubt, man. Proud papa.
Yeah, you know it, definitely.
Good luck with the Kickstarter, and thanks for the fun chat.
Thanks, Karen. Thank you for being here and your input to all of it. It was fantastic.
Randy, later, guys. Was fun.
Later, sir. Thank you.
And a few other people out there, if you want to just like, give a little shout out, we'll put your name on here. It'll be cool.
Yeah, you see your name on the screen. We'll even say, oh, and this person said this.
And he'll say the way he does with his awesome radio voice.
I'll switch into my radio announcer voice.
There we go.
Hey, Paul, thanks for coming to the show. We really appreciate having you here and watching all of the fun that we've been having.
Wow, that was worth it, Paul, wasn't it, Paulie?
That's how I answer the phone. Like I work at the movie theater and I answer the phone. And it's like, oh, good evening, Real Attractions, Movies and Cinema. How may I help you? And then they ask their question about what movie's playing, and away we go. Thank you, Derek. It was indeed a great show. I really enjoyed it, and I love working with you. You're such a fantastic artist.
All right. Let's just give Karen another one with that voice.
Sure. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, Karen. We really appreciate you as a fan and a friend. We hope that you've enjoyed watching this Chatting with Dr. Stevil episode, and tune in again next time for more fun and interesting stories.
Wow. And
I can't join Cameo. I don't have a big enough following. Funny story. I had a fan, a little guy. He is, I think, 5 years old now. He's on the autism spectrum, and I met him at a show in Saskatoon, just randomly. And his mom messaged me out of the blue one day and is like, my son is nonverbal autistic, and we've been trying to get him to speak just even little things here and there. But we realized the other day that he's been babbling a little bit more and stuff, but we couldn't figure out what he was saying. And they've been reading him Auroraman comics because that's what he likes to read. That's what he picks to read for bedtime and stuff. And they figured out that his first words that were more than just mom and dad kind of stuff was him reciting these Auroraman stories from what they've been reading him. So, yeah, she was like, I would love for you to do like a video, like I'll pay for you to do a video, saying hello, saying happy birthday, reminding him to brush his teeth and eat his vitamins and eat his vegetables and stuff like that and things like that. She's like, do you know about Cameo? You should get on there because then I can just pay you to do these videos and stuff. So I looked into it and I sent an application, and there's like, oh man, that's great and all, but you don't have the following or fan base to be as part of our thing. I was like, oh, well, damn. Okay. But so I record the videos and send them to him anyway. I don't need to be on Cameo because nobody else would pay for me to do anything like that. So
you'd be surprised. Karen says you can do voice of trailers.
Well, and that's part of the podcast show that I do, the Audio Adventures of Auroraman, radio show kind of stuff that we do. I get to play around with that a little bit. So welcome to the Audio Adventures of Auroraman, episode 1.
Wow. Just wow. If I was a little girl, I'd be like, oh my God, that's just so sexy voice. Well, I'm still doing that, but I'm a guy and I can't pretend that I enjoy that. So
well, you know what? You don't have to pretend. If you do, you do. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know, but my old upbringing, it's still got to be macho.
That's right. I understand. It's all good.
Nice to help the young lad out.
Yeah, no, I totally made my day. I actually, just behind my monitor here on my desk, I have pictures that his mom has sent me of him reading Auroraman, and he's got his Auroraman t-shirt on and stuff like that. And it just is, I put him there as a reminder that, there are people that this does make a difference to. It's not just 100% fun and enjoyment, but some people actually get some real benefit from it too.
Yeah, I have a similar story. I was at this hockey fundraiser thing with a bunch of cosplayers, and I was dressed up as Gru, like the guy from Despicable Me, doing that guy. And I'm going around the audience talking to him, and there's one little kid. He's sitting there, he's like staring at me, from behind the seat. So I walk up, and then his mom is like, careful, he's got autism. He's afraid of people. I'm like, so I kind of approached him like I was like, gonna fight a wild animal, like, hello. I slowly moved up to him, he smiled, he talked. So then, he was really cool. So I ran back to my buddy who's an artist, and I go, hey man, there's a kid out there. Can you just do a sketch? Because he asked where, like, Dave was, my minion was, right? Because he actually spoke. He was really cool. So I go up and bring it to him, and he's all smiling and happy. His mom was shocked because he didn't like start screaming or beating me up, and it was cool.
Well, yeah, and interactions like that come out of nowhere, come out of the blue, catch us by surprise. Sometimes show that even the smallest things that we may not think are a big deal turn into big deals for somebody else.
Yeah, that's something I definitely know, that for some people, something else is just like the world.
Yeah, 100%. And we should never, judge them based on that kind of stuff, because everybody's passion is their passion.
Yeah, I know. Like my friend Karen likes Arrow from the CW, and I have to pretend I enjoy it and I encourage her.
Well, you're being a good friend by doing that.
Yeah, look at the background. Just saying. All right. Well, thanks a lot for spending your time with me this your Saturday afternoon, which is supposed to be really beautiful over there, and you should be out in the sun. But
you know what? It's all good. It's as much as I would spend some time outside already with my notebook, I was doing a little bit of writing and stuff and just enjoying the fresh air and stuff. But I also enjoyed coming in and having a chat with a friend. So it's good.
Me too, man. This was fun. Thank you very much.
You bet. No problem.
And, see you, everyone else. Goodbye. Oh, I'm going to keep waving until I